This is Dumbed Down Life number 131.
I hear pod people.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, how are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Had a bit of a giggle at your pictures that you're putting up on Facebook today.
You like that, did you?
Yeah, I did, yes.
Shall I explain?
You can explain, and also you can make it the cover art to the podcast. And stick it all
Yeah, I could do, couldn't I? Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I guess, rather than what you've posted today, the full picture of the full costume will be the better one.
Yeah, but I won't have time to do that as the cover art for the show, so I'll put this on as the cover art, and then I'll upload onto the blog a picture of the full costume. Yeah, I'm going on a Cub camp at the weekend. I'm a scout leader, but the Cubs are running a camp, and they want the scout leaders to come along and run some activities for them. And they're running it as a themed camp, and all the Cubs, their Cubs are 8 to 10-year-olds. They're all coming dressed as superheroes. So all the adults, all the leaders that are going, we're all going as supervillains.
Excellent.
And while I don't quite have the muscular body necessary for this...
Well, not yet.
Not yet. I'm sure I can work on a bit of photoshopping, but I'm going as Bane. Bane.
So you'll be talking to the scouts and the Cubs like this then, will you? I said, come over here. Hello.
Well, the thing is, with the mask, it actually does sound really quite muffled. So, yeah. So, yeah, I got quite a lot of likes on Facebook for that one.
What other bad guys have you got in your troop, do you know?
Yeah, they're nearly all Batman inspired, because everybody asked me, because many of the other guys aren't comic book or even nerdy people at all. So they said, oh, who can I go as? And of course I reeled off a crap load of Batman villains, because they're the ones that I really do know the most about. So we have Harley Quinn, we have the Joker, we have the Penguin, and one of the other guys is a nerd, and he's going as Loki. So he's the one and only. Yeah, I know, he's the one and only Marvel guy going.
But he's picked the right Marvel bad guy to be.
Absolutely. He said he hasn't got the helmet with the horns because he couldn't find one.
He's got a long black wig.
He's got black hair, and I think he'll pull it off quite well, I think. But yeah, so we've got quite a few of that. One of the other ones going as Penguin. Don't know if I said that.
Yep.
And then there's a few others who I have absolutely no clue what they're coming as, but that should be a bit of a laugh.
Absolutely. And have you got themed activities to go along with it? Or?
Yeah, we have actually. We're doing the traditional scouty type skills. We're doing some fire lighting, we're doing some water purification, and we're doing some pioneering. So the pioneering is again, they're nearly all Batman themed. The pioneering is going to be the fact that the Batcave has been destroyed, so Batman needs to build a temporary Batcave.
Right.
The water purification is lifted straight out of Batman Begins, and the Scarecrow has poisoned the water supply, so we need to purify the water. And the fire lighting, I'm not sure. I don't think we've come up with a story. We're going to try and lead something in to do with the Human Torch with that one, but we haven't quite managed to fit a story into it yet. But yeah, we've come up with a few things, so it should be a bit of a laugh.
So you really struggled with this one then, didn't you? God, dear.
Yeah.
So Lance, we're thinking about doing a superheroes weekend. Yes.
Yeah. Pretty much that's exactly what happened when we were in the pub discussing it. It's like, yeah, I can do that. Oh, some of the food that we're having bat meringues.
Right.
And we're doing a Green Goblin stew. What was the other one? I can't remember. There was 2 or 3 others. I can't remember them now, but I'll tell you what they are next week after the camp. But yeah, I thought the bat meringue was quite a good thing.
Have the Cubs told you what they're going to be coming as? Or?
No, not yet. We've just told them superheroes, but I'm expecting lots of Wolverine, Superman, and Batman. And possibly Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's quite a popular one.
Yeah, I'm guessing we're going to have lots of those running around.
Because you saw, as you posted on Facebook, your Bane costume. You saw my Joker costume.
I did, yeah, that was fantastic.
I think I'm probably about 20, 21 at the time. We used to have quite a lot of fancy dress costume parties. And just recently, one of my friends from school dug out some of the pictures of some of the parties that we had. And brought back memories. Yeah. We'll have to do that again with the fancy dress, because I'm sure that I've got a few friends who would take us off.
Yeah. Well, having spent 25 quid on this mask, I'll be looking to use it at every opportunity. So I'll just have to do some exercise to make it more convincing, I think.
some exercise, and also build up the character, because the fancy dress is one thing, but if you fancy dress and you turn up and you're like, oh, it's just Lance in fancy dress, fine. But if you turn up and you do the whole spiel, it really. Especially like when you go, what we had was we'd get the party going, and then sort of about 10:30 realise that before the off license shuts, we need to get the rest of the drink in, and then all of us in fancy dress would go to the nearest off license, and you'd have Moses stood there and partied the traffic. And we had a guy in a cardboard mock-up of the lifter from Alien,
yes.
Walking down the road, and the traffic just stopped to let a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, Freddy Krueger, all of us, and of course with every fancy dress party you always get a bunch of women dress up as schoolgirls, which is no sad thing. No, it was fantastic. We walk into the off license, and you can see straight away they're about to push the panic button, and then they realise, oh no, it's like a fancy dress party. Never mind.
You're listening to Dumbed Down Life.
You've got a Raspberry Pi, haven't you?
I do indeed.
Does yours come with the camera? Have you bought the camera?
I haven't bought the camera. I think we've discussed this before, that my Raspberry Pi has been used as just a media player. So it sits connected to the telly, sits connected to the hard drive, and just gives a nice method of indexing and choosing what media you want to play up on the telly. This is going to change, because what I've got on order is the new Fire TV. I think that's what it's called.
Never heard of it.
Amazon Fire TV.
It's
basically a little Android box that's probably as powerful as a couple-year-old mobile phone. 2 gigs of memory, reasonably fast CPU, but it hasn't got a display on it. It plugs into the HDMI on your television, and then gives you access to all of the Amazon video, and you get a lot of, with Amazon Prime, you get a lot of free stuff that you can watch.
Is Amazon Prime what used to be Love Film?
It is, yes.
Right.
But along with it being Love Film, they've also brought in a lot of extra franchises themselves that Love Film didn't have.
Right.
And sticking to the superhero theme, we started watching Arrow on Love Film. Sorry, not on Love, on Amazon. And so we're getting this new Amazon box that's going to let us watch all these programs on TV without having to have the Raspberry Pi. Once the Raspberry Pi is free, I'm hopefully going to start doing projects with it rather than it just being another bit of kit.
Well, I know we spoke last week and you said you're thinking about making it into a Minecraft server.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I ask is the University of Sheffield have just utilised the Raspberry Pi camera, and they've 3D printed a telescope.
Yes.
Using the camera as the eyepiece as such, and managed to take photos of the moon. And it's the first time anything has been photographed from space using a 3D printed device.
Yep.
Have you seen the photos?
I saw the photos, yeah. And it's a very good-looking telescope. I wasn't that impressed with the pictures, but then with the Raspberry Pi, I don't think you can get a very high-definition camera.
I'd say it's essentially a webcam, isn't it?
If that, I
If
don't
that,
think
yeah.
I don't think it's particularly high resolution. But to do something like that and put a regular webcam on it, or a webcam that possibly costs more than the Raspberry Pi,
Yeah.
and you could probably get some decent results out of that.
Well, I mean, they reckon that the whole thing only cost £100. That doesn't include the cost of the 3D printer, of course.
Yeah. Well, how much would a telescope normally cost of that sort of?
Well, I mean, it's difficult. I mean, the information on it that I read said it has around 160 times magnification.
Yeah.
Now, my telescope, it's a little difficult to compare because telescopes don't actually, decent telescopes don't work in absolute magnifications.
Yeah.
If you buy a cheap £30 telescope, it'll say 50 times magnification.
Yep.
Mine doesn't work like that because it has interchangeable eyepieces,
Oh, right. Yep.
and that defines the magnification based on the focal length.
Yep.
Right. My telescope has a focal length of 900 millimeters.
Which looked about the same size as the one in the picture.
Now you work out the magnification by dividing the size of the eyepiece by the focal length. So if I put a 10 millimeter eyepiece into my telescope, I have a 90 times magnification.
Yep.
Okay. If I put a 5 millimeter eyepiece in, I get 180 times. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So you see how that works.
Yep.
So I'm guessing if it's 160 times magnification, they've probably got something like a 5mm camera. The camera is a 5mm eyepiece in essence, and it's about an 800mm focal length.
Yeah.
I suppose they give it in magnification because they can't alter that eyepiece.
They can't alter the eyepiece.
So it's a fixed magnification.
Yep.
So so it's not a million miles away from my telescope that I've got, and I paid nearly £300 for my telescope.
Oh goodness!
But
I didn't realise that.
To be fair, that did come with 2 eyepieces and an equatorial mount tripod.
Yeah.
So if you were buying just and that actually has a motorized gear on it to rotate, so you can fix it on a point and it rotates round and keeps fixed on it, so you could take long exposures and look at it for a long time without it drifting out the way. But yeah, I suppose the telescope itself probably would have been around the £150, £200 mark if I was just buying the tube.
Yep. So it actually came with the motor to do the tracking, did it?
Yes, it did. Yeah.
That does sound a lot more expensive than. But I'm just looking at the actual article now, and I guess they're simply referring to the telescope itself. Would you mind holding the line for a moment? Perhaps pausing the recording. Sounds like there's 2 cats fighting in my kitchen. I won't be long.
matters now. Nothing. Oh, nothing matters now. Nothing. 'Cause tonight it's all about sex, drugs, rock and roll. Let's break the rules, let's break the moves. Sex, drugs, rock and roll. Let's get wild and lose control. Nothing matters now. Just let it go. Live it like there's no tomorrow.
And that was Sex, Drugs and Rock and Roll by the Easton Ellises. Right. How many days holiday a year do you get?
Oh, I don't know. How many days holiday a year do I get? 23? Sounds about right.
Does that include bank holidays?
No.
So you
Bank
get
holidays are additional to that.
additional. You get so you get about 30, something like that. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. How would you like to work for a company that has unlimited holidays?
What's the catch would be my question.
No catch. None whatsoever.
Explain.
Right. Richard Branson, I believe your former employer,
My former boss, yeah.
has
Vicky.
announced that he's not going to track holiday days anymore. People are going to be allowed to take as much vacation as they like.
Right. But
It sounds bizarre, doesn't it?
yes and no. Well, the thing is, it's so how's that going to work? What or is that the headline that you've read?
No, that's it. That is all there is to it. He's going to the idea being that his employees will be a lot happier, less stressed, and will work harder if they're allowed to take as much time as they like to go and do things that they want to do. So if they want to take his inspiration, they can sod off in a balloon somewhere for 3 weeks, or go and visit the pyramids for a few, for like a month or something, go and travel around East Asia or anything like that. The idea being that when they come back, they are really recharged and will work harder and be more profitable for him.
But the catch must be that the it's unpaid holiday or reduced pay holiday. It can't be paid holiday.
Well, it doesn't say whether it's paid or not.
Yeah.
To be fair, I hadn't considered that. But apparently he's not the first. He's taken it from inspiration from his daughter, whose friend works for Netflix. Right. And they run the same system. And he essentially thought, what a great idea that is, and let's try it.
And he's trying this with, because you say Richard Branson, and the Virgin name doesn't necessarily tie in with Richard Branson. So Virgin Media may not be, they'll have the Virgin name, but they don't actually work for Richard Branson.
It's almost a franchise licensing thing, isn't it?
Pretty much. So it comes down to, yes, Richard, that's a great idea. You and your closest buddies who run your empire can have as much holiday as you like. Fantastic.
He's going to introduce it to the Virgin offices in the United States and the United Kingdom, and he plans to encourage all of the company's subsidiaries to stop counting vacation time. Is what it says.
Well, the interesting thing is because even with the 23 days or 25 days or whatever it is I have, there's generally a understanding that you won't take all 25
in one block.
In one block.
Yeah.
You won't have a month off.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it does say that it obviously is subject to things such as making sure that is adequate cover for the role that you perform and that kind of thing. So your entire financial wing can't just suddenly bugger off for a month.
yeah, it's,
You know.
yeah, there's got to be caveats to it. But
the principle is that instead of having 22 days holiday and that's it, excuse me, 22 days holiday and that's it. If you wanted to sort of go somewhere, say like for me, for example, and you for that matter, recently, we're quite into going out walking.
yeah,
I would dearly love to do either the coast to coast walk or would like to walk Hadrian's Wall.
yeah,
That's going to take 2.5 weeks.
yeah, yeah.
If I take 2.5 weeks out of my holiday allotment, then I don't have a massive amount of holiday left. But it would be one hell of an experience. So I suppose the idea is, go off and do these crazy things. Go off and do something that's challenging or is going to broaden your horizons or whatever fancy term you want to use. But go and do something that ordinarily you wouldn't be able to do in your standard 5 days off in the summer.
Yeah.
And then when you come back, you're sort of fully recharged. You've got a whole sort of new perspective, or you're probably more energized to actually do some more work.
This is sort of pushing flexi time to the extreme. Isn't
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's something Google do, isn't it? They're quite forward in their flexi time kind of thing, aren't they?
There's only so many, and there's only certain sorts of jobs that can handle that sort of thing, though.
Yeah.
I mean, as a support person, it's no good me coming in at 10:30 and then going home at 8:30, because there's the problems have all occurred before I've got in, and there's nobody left to support once I go home.
Once you've gone home, you kind of have to stick to the working hours that everybody else is doing.
And then if everyone's doing different hours, they're always going to want support. Well, yeah, but that's sort of going aside from the holiday thing. There's got to be more details to that. I feel that's very, because if I decided that next year I just don't want to work any Fridays, 52 days off, that sounds a bit open to abuse.
Yeah, I suppose it is, but then I guess
we're not counting holidays as long as you're going off to do some epic journey. It's like, well, then you're counting it, then, aren't you?
but I mean, maybe it would be self-policing in that if you're not performing your role adequately, then something would be said. That is the sort of underlying caveat. You can take as much time off as you like, as long as it doesn't affect your performance or the company's performance.
I think that with a lot of jobs, the problem is wrongly measuring performance. I correct this. I struggle to meet my company's performance goals, because the performance goals are to close help desk tickets as quick as possible.
That's a bit vague.
Well, it has to be vague, because in our London office, you're talking hundreds of tickets a week with 30 or 40 staff. In my office, you're talking single figures of tickets a week. So you look at my statistics and they're like, but Darren, you've only closed 6 tickets this month. That's appalling.
But I only had 8. And 2 of them have required me to get new hardware, which I'm waiting to be delivered.
And those 6 tickets that I've done have been full-on projects, which I get involved with, whereas my counterparts in the London office don't do those projects because they're busy
closing all the tickets,
doing the tickets for the smaller jobs, the replacing the broken mouse, the typical.
Have you tried turning it off and on again? Yeah.
And when you've got that many people to support, they don't have time for projects. I've got fewer people to support, but they've got much more intricate requirements. So I'm busy, but if you look on paper, it doesn't look like I'm busy.
If you look at your metrics, what are you doing with all your time? Yeah.
In that case, they have to do it by percentage. So the percentage of my tickets have to be closed, within a day. And so it's become the fact that I will say to my business unit, look, when you raise a ticket, I will close it straight away, but we'll carry on working with it. Because
it's not cheating the system.
It's cheating the system, but we're telling our upper management and pushing this further up the hierarchy that you're measuring the wrong thing. And if you're measuring the wrong thing, then we're going to close these tickets to make your figures look good, but it's not helping.
Yeah.
So if we had this, sort of going back to what you were saying, if we had this scheme where as long as you do the work, you can take the time off, I could probably take 4 days of the week off, according to my statistics, because I can close all the tickets on the Monday. and it's, I think I'm not alone in this. I think there's a lot of companies that measure the wrong thing. And so when it comes to performance goals, it's very tricky to say, well, yes, as long as you're performing properly, then you can take a month off. I'd be interested to read that article to see sort of how they're implementing that.
It would be interesting to see what happens in 12 months' time, and if he does implement it, to see whether he backs out of it.
Well, yeah. How long have Netflix been running it and that sort of thing? But yeah, well, I'll have a nosy at that and read through that myself, I think. Sounds interesting.
Hi, this is Scott Segler, author of the novels Infected and Contagious, and you are listening to Dumb Down Life.
So on Saturday of last week, Saturday of last week, let me start that again. Saturday of the week before, I was drugged, pulled down to our local climbing wall.
Oh, right.
I take it, have you done any climbing?
A very, very long time ago when I was still at school, but yes.
Taking down to the local climbing wall. My partner, when she was in her teens, was a very avid climber, and she'd been all over the country, climbing all over the place. And now that her daughter is getting interested in it as well, or both of them actually, she wants me to be able to take them down to the climbing place and to belay for them.
Right.
Basically standing at the bottom, feeding the rope and holding it should they jump off and the likes.
Yep.
Now, to be able to do that, you have to do a training course.
Yeah.
So we did a 4-hour training course, and part of the training course is, they don't simply say, right, you're going to belay, therefore you just stand there and we'll tell you what to do. You have to do both. So bit of climbing, bit of belaying. And there was myself, my friend Kate, and the third person was somebody else who'd signed in to do the beginner's course, but we didn't know this person. The total sum of the weight of the trainer and the other two members of the team possibly matched my weight. There's very little of them.
And you're not a big guy, are you?
I am not a big guy in the first place. So I think that the trainer's sort of fresh out of university, very tiny little thing, and she says, right, well, we need to make sure that you know how to handle it when somebody falls off the wall. So I'd like a volunteer. And I thought, well, they're not going to do it. Okay, I volunteer. And she sort of rolled her eyes and went, okay, well, you climb up the wall, get about 3/4 of the way up the wall, and then stop there. I'll then talk to everyone down here and show you what you got to do. And then when I say go, climb up 3 more steps and then jump off the wall. And I'm like, well, the first time I've climbed one of these walls and I'm jumping off. Brilliant. And I climbed all the way up the wall, hung on, da-da-da-da-da-da. He said, okay, jump. And not being that confident, I didn't take the 3 steps up. Because I didn't take the 3 steps up, I jumped with the line already being fairly taut. and it was pretty easy, really. There's nothing to it. And she said, no, climb back up. I said, okay, climb back up. He said, this time, climb up again until the line's got a bit of slack in it, and then jump. Okay. She said, don't worry, I've done this lots of times before. Famous last words.
Yeah.
So I climbed up, jumped off, and met her coming up. She only came about 2, maybe 3 meters off the ground. And she said, are you sure you're the weight that you said you are?
So it was like the Mars bell ringers. Can you remember that advert?
Yes. Oh goodness, that was a while ago. But yeah, it was quite addictive once you knew that you were going to get caught, because the next thing, of course, after the instructor's done it, it's like, okay, right, next, and then I had to climb back up again off the wall for one of the others to try it. She said, well, no, your technique wasn't quite right there, Darren. Go back up again.
Did you get to go at belaying as well? Somebody else.
I had to have a go at belaying. The problem was that by the time it got to me belaying, the girls who had been at the bottom had got sore arms and so forth from holding onto the rope, and struggled to climb up the wall. It's like, yeah, you're 4 foot off the ground. If you jump, you're probably going to land safely. You got to go higher. I really can't do it.
Let go, Darren. Pull them up.
Pull them up the wall. No, that would be cheating. But yeah, so we did that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then this weekend, we went back to the climbing place and had we went round by ourselves, not having to have an instructor with us. And it's very good exercise.
Oh yeah.
For an hour, climbing up and down the walls. Obviously, we're not doing the jumping off practice, but yeah, after an hour, that was really.
I mean, it's a fairly full body workout, isn't it? Really?
Yes. Yep. There were complaints that I've got a fair advantage in that. You know, by the time I've reached up and grabbed hold, I'm 2/3 of the way up the wall as it is.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Yeah. It's an 18-foot wall. You're 6'3". You don't have to climb very far, do you?
I have to say that I enjoy the belaying part at the bottom more than the climbing.
Yeah.
The climbing for me, I had this happen to me on Saturday. I got 2/3 of the way up the wall, and then I just simply couldn't see where I was supposed to go next.
I know that feeling.
It's like, what am I supposed to hold on to? Where am I supposed to go?
Totally.
Now, when we did this on the training, the instructor knew the wall and said, well, if you swap your feet over, stand up and do this and do that, then you see that little one over there, that's actually got a hand grip round the other side, and you can get it, which you won't see from the ground.
See, and if you didn't know, you wouldn't go for it, would you? Yeah.
And the whole idea of sort of, well, try standing up and having a look and having a fit, it's a lot of backwards and forwards to get nowhere.
Well, that's exactly where the place I'd gotten myself into the first time we climbed Penny Gint.
Yeah.
That's exactly the thing. I'd kept going right, and I ran out of right.
Yeah.
And I could not see a way to the left.
Yeah.
I mean, the second time we went up, yes, it was a lot easier because I wasn't quite so stupid and I looked earlier.
Where you were going rather than...
The thing very much in front of me. I actually looked up and planned a route. So, yeah, that's what you felt then was what I felt at Penny Gint without a rope and a big rucksack on.
Yeah.
So, rock climbing's not something I enjoy. I'm not good with heights, and I'm not a very good physical specimen.
Not until you've got your Bane physique.
Physique, yeah. And it's not something... What I do enjoy, or used to enjoy, I haven't done it in many years, but I used to enjoy the other side of rock climbing, and that's the abseiling.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I love abseiling. It's kind of a weird mental thing, right? When you're climbing up, the rope is loose. Even if somebody's belaying, like you say, when you jumped off, you do fall a few feet before they catch the tension.
Yep.
I really don't like that.
I got used to that.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. But when you're abseiling, the rope is above you and it's always tight because you are essentially lowering yourself down.
Yeah.
So the way that the rope goes through the figure of eights and the carabiners, should you let go of that rope, it tightens up naturally, so you can't actually fall anywhere. Yep. You could lower yourself down, let go of the rope, and just hang there. So abseiling, I feel really, really safe doing, and I really did enjoy it. But the rock climbing side of it, not so much.
So getting up there to be able to jump down was a bit tricky.
Well, no, because normally what we used to do when I was in Scouts and we used to do the abseiling would be something along the lines of we'd walk up a hill like Penny Ghent,
right?
Find an edge, anchor all the ropes down, and abseil down.
Yep.
So you walk up a nice smooth thing. You don't have to do any rock climbing, and then abseil down the rock face.
Yep. Well, talking about walking.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be doing the Devil's Punch Bowl, aren't we?
We are, yes.
Have you had a look at the maps and so forth for that area yet?
No, only what you showed me when we suggested doing it the first time. Yeah. No, not really. I'm quite looking forward to going into it not knowing where I'm going. So you can take the lead.
Okay. Well, no. I thought that you were going to do all the orienteering and stuff like you did with Penny Ghent.
Right. You didn't mention that bit, but yes, I can do.
This is why we've got plenty of time. I'm giving you the warning now. You get the entertainment out of doing that.
I do. So do I need to go and buy a bloody map now, don't I?
I'm sure we can get one somehow. Yeah.
I can find. I can buy a map. I'm quite happy to buy maps. I like maps.
And then we can do we can do a recording while we're out on the walk.
Whilst walking, that'd be fun because you've got a portable recorder, haven't you?
I have a portable recorder. As long as it's not too windy, it's not going to be too bad.
Well, I can actually do it on the iPad.
Yeah, but carrying the iPad. What, the orienteering part or the recording part?
The recording. Because I've got a audio recorder on the iPad that I've got the camera connection kit thing you get because Apple don't give you a USB port.
Yep.
I've got an attachment for that allows you to plug in a USB microphone.
Oh, nice.
Which is the microphone I'm currently using to record this with.
And have you tried using this outside yet?
Yes, I have.
And it's not too bad.
It works okay, especially with. I should imagine it'd be all right with the windshield that you've given me. Yeah. So I can plug that in and leave it in the back of my rucksack.
Yep.
And then just have the microphone out so we could do like proper recording type stuff.
Well, and the other thing that we've got one of these battery expansion things now as well, so that the iPad can be plugged in. No, it can't be plugged into that with the microphone, can it? You can only plug one thing at a time.
One thing in at a time, but we can turn it on and turn it off and turn it on and turn it off whenever we need to record things. It's not going to be running full time. We can use your portable recorder for that.
Yeah. And I guess if it's raining, then we'll just stay indoors and watch telly.
Stay indoors and watch telly, yeah. Last week, you asked me a question.
I did indeed.
And can you remember what the question was, how you phrased it? Because I'm not sure I can.
The phrasing of the question. Well, anyone who's just listened to last week's show will probably know it better than I do. We were talking about the accident that Heidfeld and Prost got into in the Formula E, and we were talking about the possibility of the Formula E car bursting into flames, and I'm quite convinced that there's a lower possibility because there's no hot exhaust, there's no hot oil, but then possibly there is still hot oil for like brake systems and gearboxes and things, and that was what you came back with, and I said to see if we can find out what the temperatures involved in the electric car are and where the hot spots are that could potentially start a fire. What have you got for us?
Well, the simple answer is I don't know. I couldn't actually find any specific information on temperatures. But what I did find was that like I suggested last week, like a scale electric car, that motor gets incredibly hot.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find anywhere on any site
To define what incredibly hot is.
Incredibly hot is.
Yeah.
However, I did find out that there are heat sinks built into the rotor to get rid of some of the heat. So there must.
Yeah.
So although I can't answer it fully, it sounds like by far the hottest part of it is the motor, the electric motor that actually drives the thing. But other than that, unfortunately, I've kind of failed.
Well, I have rather than a question, I have an experiment for you to do.
Okay.
Formula E is in its infancy, and it's interested in getting as much interest from the public as possible. How about you trying and get in contact with somebody at Formula E to see if they can answer your question?
Do you know, that did cross my mind.
Because they're just down the road from you, aren't they?
Yeah, they are down the road. Yeah, they're sort of, well, they're closer to me than they are to you. They're about 60, 75 miles away from me. But yeah, I did consider giving them a call, and I just haven't had time this week. We're recording a day earlier than usual. Sorry?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, so I was planning on trying to get in touch, but yeah, I should do that for next week.
Because if we can get something that sort of you can't find through Google, that would be a first for us, wouldn't it?
It would be. I'm just thinking along the lines of this. I wonder if I could call them using Skype and record the conversation.
You want to check with them first?
Yes.
But then, yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, I'll give it a go. I'll see what I can come up with.
All right. And it might be for next week's show. It might not be. But one way or t'other, there will be a show next week. And I hope you will listen. Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.
You can call the Dumbed Down Life crew on 07092 274 759.
You can follow us on Twitter. Our account name is Dumbed Down Life.
The email address is ddl.podshow@gmail.com. The website address is www.dumbeddownlife.com.